Welcome back to Picton's Northern Star, the floaty, boaty drama, mess, fiasco, however you like to refer to it or call it. Just starting this episode off with a bit of footage, a week with 2 of our 4 grandbabies staying with me here in Picton. Had a great time, hated giving them back. So I hope you enjoy this footage. I hope you hang around to the end of the episode. Didn't get off the marina, but it's in the pipeline, hoping to do that very, very shortly. So we ended up spending a bit of time doing a few other wee jobs, odds and sods. So click like, subscribe, share, and whatever else tickles your fancy. And thanks again for watching. There's a boat, look, there's a boat. There's a boat. Look underneath the bridge here, Micah. There's a boat coming on this side.
What's that for?
There's a boat, look.
Hey!
There's a boat. Wave, wave, bye, hi.
Bye!
Bye. You say hello, Mum and Dad.
Hello, Mum and Dad.
What have I got in my hands?
Jellyfish.
Is it your pet jellyfish?
Yeah.
You going to take that home?
Yeah.
Have you got a pet jellyfish too?
Yeah.
You going to take that home to Mum? Do you think Mum will like that?
Maybe.
I think Mum will. Maybe. I reckon Mum will. I know Dad will like it.
My
And then we have Isla and Micah trying to rescue every jellyfish they can find. So this episode I finally purchased a Victron 75 bar 15 solar charge regulator or controller, MMPT variety. I go a little bit about why I made that decision to purchase that particular charge controller, how I found out the information I needed to ensure I purchased the right size. Disclaimer, not an expert. All I know is what I've learnt online and through research. Pretty basic stuff though, some pretty basic math involved, and the only reason I show you how I completed the calculations was to give you some idea of how basic it is. If I can do it, I'm useless at maths, anybody else can do it, I'm sure. So anyway, have a look. This information is online if you need to do a bit of research, and easy to find. So the panel that I purchased was a solar monocrystalline one from Burnsco, a 260 watt 24 volt system. Now on the rear of that panel, the VOC, or the maximum voltage, open circuit voltage, is 43.2 volts. So the wonderful world of the internet tells me 14.4 volts is required to charge a 12 volt battery, and twice that for a 24 volt. So 28.8 volts for a 24 volt battery bank. So you divide the 260 watts, the maximum watts the panel is capable of providing, by 28.8 volts, gave me the number of amps that I could then work with to try to decide what size solar controller I needed to safely handle the new solar panel. That should give us pretty close to 9.02 and a whole pile of other little numbers after that. So we'll round that up to 10. So that will be 10 amps. Now the next thing I have to do as part of that, you've got to margin in, or you should margin in about a 20% safety factor, which is 1.2. So we multiply 10 amps by 1.2 or 20%, and that should give us a need for at least a 12 amp controller. Okay, so that allows ample as a safety margin, and yes, a pretty low end. Now, if the interesting thing was for a 12 volt, I would actually require a bigger or a more expensive charge controller, because I would need to have higher amps. So that would be 260 watts divided by 14.4 volts. That gives the shade just over 18 amps. Adding the 1.2, 20% safety margin would actually bring it up to about 21.6, so 22 amps. So I would need a charge controller capable of dealing with, at the minimum, 22 amps if I was using a 12 volt setup, but I'm not, which is great. That's how I worked it out anyway. Now the other thing is why I wanted to change to that is a smart controller. There isn't a model down that's about $40 cheaper. That's not the smart controller, but basically does the same job. I guess this next model up here gives me the ability to download the app on my cell phone when I've actually got a personal cell phone that I can sort, and I can monitor what's going on as far as battery status, charging and all that sort of thing. So that's why I've opted to go for the next model up, and of course the next model up from that's about $179, 200 something dollars, and the next model up was the one I would require for my system if I was using 12 volts on that size panel. So yeah, let's open this up and have a look. The other thing is why I've gone for a MPPT one is that it's more efficient. It makes the best use of the power when the sun is there, and it's just a lot more efficient. It's a lot smarter, and it means if I need to, I can swap connections from one battery bank to the next and know that it's going to charge quickly and keep everything topped up if I need to. The other thought I had was whether I could put a connection into those with a switch to switch from battery bank to battery bank. There's nothing that I've found that says I can't. However, it appears that the most appropriate way is to install an echo charger, which provides power from the charged battery bank to the other battery bank in one direction only. But I don't quite know how the ins and outs of all of that. So that's if I want to use the one panel to keep everything charged. Especially if I do have charge coming in from the engine, how does that look? And I've got power going one way. So let's open this up and have a look. Well, it's well packaged. Unique support QR codes in a packet there. It's obviously so you can set up the app on your phone. A good handbook. It does seem to be pretty clear and in English, and the charge controller there. So we might hook that out and have a look. Well, it certainly feels more substantial. It has a 20 amp charger. So the 20 amp charger doesn't seem to be as will match the 15 amp controller. I imagine that's to provide a little leeway so you don't keep blowing fuses. It's a little cable there. It's got the ins and outs, battery, load, and most of the battery in from the panel. It certainly feels it's quite substantial. It feels quite weighty. So guys, this isn't a punt for Victron. The only reason I'm using Victron is because everything I have seen and read about them, it's quality gear. I'm sure there's probably other manufacturers out there that manufacture equally quality products. It's just this was easy for me to get a hold of. So looking on the back here, it monitors solar yield and history, easy to configure and update with the Victron Connect app, synchronized parallel charging via Bluetooth up to 10 units, so I don't quite understand what that means, intelligent load output with auto disconnect and street light function. I believe that's so that you don't flatten your batteries if you are running a load off it. but I'm certain as to whether the load will be 24 volts or 12 volts coming off that. So whether or not I have to run it through a converter if I want to, say, charge cell phones off it. A direct port to enable VRM, remote monitoring portal, via a communication centre. So if you want to grow a super flash system and have it talk to each other and other bits in your phone, I suppose that's why they have that. An intelligent charge algorithm with battery life. So obviously there's a lot of technology packaged into these things. So yeah, looks to be pretty good. So yeah, so that's the device here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to disconnect that now, and we're going to install that. Right, disconnected. Now when I connect this back up, apparently I've got to connect the batteries first, so otherwise it might cause a problem with the charge controller making incorrect readings, thinking that the panel is the batteries and the battery is the solar panel. So that's good. So that one there, got the old positive on it for the low, for the in from the power, negative. So that's clearly marked. Fortunately, I didn't put a bit of red tape around there, and I've just had to take a few cable ties off to spread them apart because they were so closely together I could see them shorting out and causing a problem. So let's get this off now. Right, wouldn't that rip your knickers? I have absolutely no flathead screwdrivers on the boat, and of course they are flathead screws on those cable fastenings there. So going to have to shoot home and going to have to grab a screwdriver or two. Flathead screwdriver. Let's shoot home and grab that. You think I would have learnt by now and had a complete toolkit on the boat. So I've got everything here, but no, too easy, too easy. And it was about this time I worked out, I went all the way home to grab a screwdriver and came back and the bugger was the wrong size. And you wouldn't fucking well believe it. Luckily I managed to borrow one off the neighbour who was down doing some work on his boat, so that saved me a bit of a drive home yet again to find another tool. Benefits of being in the marina as opposed to sitting on a mooring somewhere in the back of beyond. A little bit of a spark when I hooked up the negative. Now we'll hook up the panel with a little blue flashing light there at the bottom. So we'll see what lights up once that's sort of all hooked up. The battery is now an orange light on. Not sure quite what that means. We'll need to read it. So orange or yellow is absorption, blue is bulk, whatever that means, and green LED is a float. So obviously maybe as it reaches each stage of charging. 27.6 going into the batteries, and 42.94 volts being generated from the panel. So that's close to maximum open there, and that light in there has now gone green. So alright, so we're going to check the oil in the gearbox. The two dipsticks here all fine. Engine fine, fluid fine. I'm going to take the cap off, going to run the engine for a while. An interesting observation, the oil in the reduction box is much heavier and stickier than the oil in the gearbox. It wasn't like that before I had the work done. The oil looked to be the same and looked to be in pretty poor condition. So I wonder whether that's what's caused a lot of the damage, is somebody has put the wrong oil into the reduction box and or the gearbox and caused some damage. I love the sound of this old engine. Right, looking a bit cleaner. Carpet back down, bit of a vacuum, bit of a clean up, stuff put away again. The hopefully might pop out tomorrow and give it a run, so that'll be pretty cool. Take some stuff home and give it all a good wash and scrub, and we'll see how we get on. So it's about time to head home. Looking forward to actually starting to get into some of this woodwork. I've got some hopefully got some clean mucka carpet lined up now, and just need to arrange to go and pick it up for the guy to do it. To start doing those inserts here and down there. Shut up and out of here. Oh, also need to fill up the water for the boat as well. I've run out of water while I was cleaning, which is not a bad thing. I've wanted to do that for a while. So the water's been in there for quite some time. It was probably getting a little bit stale, stagnant. Sunday. Just coming down here now to get everything back in the boat. This is the camera and monitoring system we bought. It needs to come down. Took a pile of stuff off the boat and gave it all a good wash. The spotlight, that remote, grease gun, and a couple of fishing floats I've just purchased this morning, about $10. What I intend to use those for is for the painter for the tender. Avoid the issue that I had once before. I reversed over the painter line. It was Christmas actually, just for my wife passed away. Took family out and I reversed over the dinghy painter while we were over in Waikawa Bay waiting to pick up other family members. We were motoring out and I reversed backwards, and sure enough sucked in the painter. Well, I must admit, jumping back into the boat with the floor down, the carpet down and being reasonably clean. I also bought some gear to clean all this down as well today. It's quite nice. We're planning on going out today, but just not quite ready. I'm probably going to take a little bit of time to build my confidence up. Planning at this stage to go out next Sunday, take some people out, some friends and things like that, to give us a hand with tying up. And yeah, take them out for a fish. I've worked out that what I probably need to do is start taking out friends to go and play, to go fishing and things like that, and I'll just skipper the boat and enjoy their company. It gives me a reason to get the boat off the mooring and build my confidence again after bringing it in and having it in parts. And I've still got to sort out the rudder aspect as well. It looks okay, but it certainly does need to have a new part made for it, so that will probably be on the next plan of attack sooner rather than later. But one of the first things I want to sort of start sorting out is the insulation in the ceilings. Coming into winter soon, and I don't want a dripping mess full of mould, as you can see we had over the last winter, and it's obviously been a recurring problem. I want to get the wiring and everything sorted out. I've been working away diligently on a wiring schematics, slowly forming what I want to do, and once I've actually got that down pat, because obviously I come up with an idea, then I change one or two parts, so make myself some notes and come up with some others. So once I've got a pretty much final schematics sorted out, I'll let you in on the secret and show you what I intend to do. Then we'll start doing it part by part, probably in stages. But I really do need to get the main feeds forward and aft in first, so then I can get the insulation in. I'm going to put a headliner in, some thin ply, covered with marine carpet, lights and everything over the top of that, and we'll hopefully create a nice dry, warmer environment in here over winter. Now this is the spotlight, obviously. Now I've got sort of a conundrum. I set it up there permanently, running the cable down into the wheelhouse and back to a 12-volt feed, or I install from the side there, but somewhere up there, a switch, a cigarette lighter to plug in. I'm not a fan of that, they always rust no matter what you do. Or I run the cable just through the wheelhouse here to a feed up inside here, and then loop up the cord. That way I can take this off, and it gives a little bit more manoeuvrability for this length of cable. Thereabouts off there. I think what I need to do is probably make an allowance for how much cable would go through and be attached, and see whether I gain much by taking that off there as I was using it as a separate standalone spotlight. If I leave it with the cord, then I can move a long way forward towards the bow, port and starboard, which is pretty important at night in my view, especially when coming into a bay or looking for a mooring, or even into the marina. I can then put it back up onto the base and use it with the remote control, round 360 degrees, up, down, all that sort of drama. Have much limited manoeuvrability aft. That's about it, about midship. As you can see, if I mount it fixed to one place and run the cable back from there back to here where I'm going to have a switchboard, I'm limited to being able to just shine the light left and right and that sort of thing of the boat. Being a high bow, I'm sort of still fairly limited forward. So the other option is that I either come through the cabin and directly wire in there and leave all the cord and extra cable rolled up there and under a bag covering the whole thing, so then I can lift it off, move it forward, go left or right, get a bit better view forward. Issue is with that is that if I need to bring it aft, I only get to about level about here in the wheelhouse, and astern is somewhat limited, so if I need to get a light over the stern, it's going to be a problem. So is that something I can live with? Probably can, probably by having an extra light of some description, either a plug-in light or whatever down the back, or just a torch to cover the area that you can't reach with the light of the spotlight. Option 2 is to install marine 12-volt cigarette lighter type plugs forward and aft, so that I can remove it, plug it in, remove it, plug it around the back there, or put it back up. Again, not a fan of those plugs. They're an absolute pain in the ass. Water always gets into them, particularly if I mount it up under here. Any water's going to hit there, it's going to end up being driven into the plug. And as always, whenever you want the bloody things to work, they never will because they're rusty. So I'm pretty much a fan of wiring it directly. So rather than bring it all in, cut it off, wire it in there, my current thoughts are I'm going to run the cable all the way down to the back here, which is enough there, and wire it directly into a 12-volt feed there, separate to the VHF chart plotter and other devices, so that it's effectively got its own feed off a bus bar down where I intend to put the new meter board, I suppose, bus bars and switches and everything. So at the moment that's leading the charge. That way if I need to, I can run it through a cable gland, and if I need to take it out I can, and I'm not losing all that extra cable. Also, I'm not exposing cigarette lighter type fittings to the elements outside, which are going to fail. Nothing surer than God made little green eggs, they will fail. And I don't have to worry about having cable outside, and I can just cover the spotlight with a good cover, waterproof cover, to keep the UV and weather off it until I actually need it. So that's leading the charge at the moment, that train of thought. Right, finally brought that down as well. It's the camera that I covered off in the previous thing. Has a bracket. I want to mount this up here somewhere. It's easy to see, particularly at night. There's plenty of cords and cables and things and connectors. It can all go up under the headliner when I put the headliner in, and this is a 24 volt. Will take 12, 24, 36 volts, so I don't need to be too fussy about the voltage that I feed it. And then work out where, and running obviously the camera cables through cable glands again, up through out to where I want them. So the idea of this is I want to be able to see, as you'll see, I've got very limited visibility aft and sort of behind on the port and starboard sides, unless I walk out of the window, out of the wheelhouse. Look there, or I open this and I look behind there. The issue with that is in the Marlborough Sounds area you get a lot of half-wits and powerboats that don't know what the hell they're doing. They cut it really fine, they come up behind you out of nowhere and cut right and close, and if you're going to make a turn starboard or port, you run the risk of colliding with somebody that's coming up behind you. So I'd still rather have an aft facing camera, and what I want to do is actually get it set up and wired in so that I can see what sort of range of view I have on each camera. There's 4 of them, so that screen will be divided into 4. So the question will be, how wide is the view or angle of each camera? Will one camera facing aft be sufficient, or do I need 2? Because I would like to get a camera on the port side as far as I could, and starboard side far as I can, facing forward, particularly if the low light aspect of it is good. It will be quite useful for coming into the marina, into dock, and to find moorings and things like that. And number 4, I would like to put into the engine room facing back down, so running the cable down, back, so that I can see at a glance if there's an issue down there I need to be aware of, whether by turning the light on down there or just simply relying on that low light infrared aspect. Infrared, I suppose is what you call it. But so as you see, I'm sort of at a stage where I need to start doing point C to point A. I need the wiring starting to sort it, at least forward and aft the main feeds. Then I need to get the insulation and everything in, headliners and that in. Then I can start installing new lights where they're needed. I can start to install these here. And then I can start to get things sorted out and installed and working and operational. And I can start to sort the mess out in here. It switches and everything up there, so the switchboard up there, out of the way of little fingers. All I will leave down here will be the ignition key, everything related to the running of the motor inside. All the other wiring for the 2412 house bank is going to be up there in a box. So all I'm hoping to actually do is come up with a semi-finalised wiring schematics, which I'll sit down and I'll go over maybe in the next episode, so that I know what I'm going, I know what I need to purchase in the way of wiring, gauges of wiring, switches and isolators, earth bus bars, positive bus bars, and so on and what have you, and the best way to do this. But I have a cunning plan and it's slowly formulating. So I'm down here today. I bought the stuff back that I've washed. I've got a scrubbing a pot scrubber. I'm going to clean all this down there. It's pretty manky and horrible, and a bit more of a clean, and get everything back in there, and hopefully get all sorted out. I did forget to bring the hose down. I need to fill up the water supply. It's completely empty, which is a bit of a bugger. I might have to actually go home and get it and do it while I'm down here, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do. As I went down to the forward cabin and I fiddled with the fan, and the fan was rubbing and knocking, so hopefully I haven't damaged that solar fan. To get it out, I've had to undo the screws, and of course, as per usual, one of them was the one that I stripped, the square head, so I've got to drill the bloody thing out. I can't get it out otherwise, so I'm nearly there, but everything, just everything is 10 times harder than it needs to be. Yep, there we go, it's working. So let's go and get that sorted out back, and I'll go home and get the hose and get it water back in the tank and get it cleaned up. And back working. Really was a dumb thing to do. Push that, I should have just taken the top off it, but didn't stop, didn't think about it, and look at the extra work that caused. Right, home to get the hose. Okie dokie. Nice and clean. Just cleaned all the bench and everything down. They got all the good scrub there, the muck off with a scouring pad. A bit of a wash, squirt around inside of the boat. I do need to buy a new handle for the broom though. The one I bought from home doesn't fit. And yeah, so feeling a lot cleaner in here already. So the other problem I've just noticed again is the macerator's not working on the toilet, so I don't know what it is. I hear it clicking. I think possibly what's going on is maybe jammed. I don't know, I'll have to have a look. So I'll go and see what sort of voltage, if it's 12 or 24 volts. Just go and have a look in there. Can't quite see, it's not a particularly great very little room in there. I do know that the toilet leaks and probably needs some new seals. Given this constant ongoing issue, might be time to consider ripping the whole lot out and replacing it. I don't know, but I hope I haven't burnt it out by running it very briefly but in short bursts on 24 volts. Well, I was just talking to my son on the phone and I heard pop and water running. I wondered what on earth it was. Well, guess what it was, folks. And here, that was off. Now have a look at this. It's this absolutely silly way to be doing stuff. So basically, it popped off. There's enough pressure, I heard it go pop. And yeah, water was pouring out of there, pouring out of the pump, so out of there. So how freaking ridiculous is that? So I might go and have to go and get a bit more of this stuff here maybe, and don't know, but I can't quite see what's going on there. That screws on there with the looks of it, and then they've just pushed that on there. Fantastic. A good way to fill the boat up with water. The probably 1,000 litres of water I've just put into it. Whatever it is, 600 or 700 litres maybe. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Picton's Northern Star, the floaty boaty fiasco. As you'll see, unfortunately, we didn't get out of the marina. I promise it's coming. It is coming and coming really soon. It was going to be this weekend. Unfortunately, I have a couple of appointments on Saturday and Sunday for piping. One down at the AMP show in Ward and the other on Saturday evening for the Relay of Life to support the Cancer Society kicking off their event to raise money and funds to research and fight this horrible disease. We all probably know of or have family members, friends, or maybe personally affected by this horrible disease ourselves. We have to do everything we can to support fundraising, to fight and research this horrible disease, provide treatments, cures, and if nothing else to provide a better quality of life for those affected by it. Anyhow, I enjoy making these. Thank you for watching to the end. As always, get out there, give it a crack, have a go and do it before it does it to you.